Leadership Dolce, where I am serving up sweet morsels of wisdom every Monday night at 7 p.m. right here on my Newborn Evolution Facebook page. And so I did make a little change. I used to do it in the Vortex, which is my private community filled with hundreds of evolving leaders. So if you're not part of that community, I would encourage you to join it. But the reason I decided to put it here on my Newborn Evolution page is so that you can share it if you feel like my learnings and lessons are something that could possibly help out a fellow evolving leader that you know. So feel free to share if you feel so inclined to do so. So, very quickly, I'm Joanne Newborn with Newborn Evolution. I am a certified lifestyle and leadership coach. I am also a director with a very large publicly traded company, and I have my MBA from Penn State University. Now, that's a couple of reasons why I am qualified to talk to you about leadership. But the other reason is because I really have a passion for leadership culture. And not only do I believe that leadership is very important in business, but leadership is equally important in life. And we really don't have enough examples of people who are great leaders and also people that can teach us about leadership. So I love to come here every Monday night and talk about little bite-sized nuggets of leadership that you can use in your everyday life. And I also believe that if you are a professional who feels frustrated and stressed out and unfulfilled, well, the best way to be able to harness your dream job with your ideal salary and a guilt-free, luxurious work-life balance is by cultivating a leadership mindset. So away we go. So tonight, I am going to do a little bit of a delicate dance around the unrest that we have experienced in the last few weeks. And I am not making light of it at all. I really want to stress that. But I want to show you a different perspective, a little peek under the hood, if you will, of some of the unconscious drivers that have intensified the unrest. So, this is not to negate or refute the causes, but to explain what may be going on in many people's minds simultaneously. So, the first thing I want to talk about is that humans have a herd mentality. Because we are mammals, and like many other species who also have a herd mentality, it is for our survival and safety. And so we can see this going on all around us today, right? People are very divided on both sides, and people are feeling like they must choose a side. And they feel like they have to be part of one of these two herds. Um, and what I want to tell you is that you don't need to choose a side if you don't want to. I'm going to talk a little bit more about herd mentality. So, did you ever wonder why it's so important to be liked and why it feels so horrible when we're rejected, either in love or business or by our friends and family? Because, like I said before, humans, like mammals, we herd together for survival. So, back in caveman times, if you were rejected or ostracized from the tribe, then they would probably leave you out in the middle of the field all night long. And that being said, there was a pretty good chance that you would get eaten by a predator that was larger than you during the night. So there's a really good reason for herd mentality. And you don't only see it with mammals, you also see it in other species like schools of fish. That's exactly what they're doing. They're herding together for their survival. And although we no longer need to worry about acceptance from the tribe for survival, it's instinctual in us. It is part of our instincts. It is ingrained in us, and it's part of who we are. So it literally feels like we are going to die um, if we're rejected. So we do a lot of things um, to ensure that we're liked. We do many, many things to ensure that we're liked. And actually, many of them are not really who we truly are. But we do them anyway because we waste a whole lot of time and energy thinking about whether someone or a group of people like us or not. Now, let me ask you, how much time have you spent pining over whether someone you were dating liked you enough or not, or worrying about what coworkers or friends think of you? I'm going to share a funny little example of something like this from when I was in high school. So I went to an all girl Catholic high school and we wore these ugly green checkered skirts. And growing up in Brooklyn, the cool girls rolled their skirts up so they were very, very mini skirts and they were barely covering their hoo ha's. Now, I was a little bit of a nerd, so I rolled mine up so it came just, above my knee. So one day, while I was on the city bus, I was taking the public city bus home from school. Two girls from the local yeshiva high school approached me and they asked me if my school forced us to wear these short skirts. And in my opinion, my skirt wasn't short at all, especially not compared to the girls that rolled theirs up to their hoo ha. And in my opinion, also, I thought that their skirts that came down to their ankles were really restricting of one's freedom. And so I just looked at them and I shrugged and I said, oh, I guess so. So what was happening there? Um, Judgment, right? I was judging them and they were judging me. And we were staying with our respective herds. And my herd wore their skirts short, and their herd wore their skirts long. And I thought theirs were weird and gross, and they thought mine were weird and gross. But the reality was, we were just different. That's all. And at the end of the day, we were just a bunch of high school girls on our way home from school on the city bus together. That's it. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about tonight is how humans are also emotional beings. Now, most of us push our emotions away. And for the past 2 to 3 months of living in a frightening pandemic, and living in social isolation, we've been literally like holding it together for the sake of our families or our friends or for the sake of ourselves, for our own sanity, just holding it, literally holding it together. However, our emotions are still running through us and still pulsating through us, even though we may have squashed them. They're still there. And so now, with the opportunity to release them, to release all these emotions that have been building up with just cause, we're seeing emotions running at an explosive level. And just on a daily basis, we have not been raised to show emotion. Or societal norms tell us that being emotional or showing emotion is bad, right? But when we have good cause, then it's okay. So this opportunity affords the majority of emotion squashing humans the ability to let it all out like a volcano. And we see rage, and we see anger, and we see fear and frustration and other emotions just all spilling out all over the place. Okay, so now that I've explained these 2 points, I want to say something about leadership. I want to say something about true leadership. Being a strong leader doesn't always mean that we have the loudest voice or the strongest opinion. And people are seeing other people lay their stake in the ground. And we might feel like we need to catch up to the herd and lay our own stake in the ground. That doesn't always mean that you are a strong leader. Sometimes, the strongest thing that you can do is observe. And observe and be silent and observe both sides without judgment. And a strong leader can be there waiting and holding the space for openness and love. And sometimes it means I'm not going to jump into the pool of fire with everyone else, but I am going to be here waiting, strong and grounded to help out when the chaos settles. And it doesn't mean I don't have an opinion, but I choose openness and love above all else. And I'm also not saying that that is what you have to do. I'm not saying that at all. Because if you have a strong opinion and you want to take a side, go for it. I'm just saying that you don't have to feel pressure to do so because society is forcing you to take a side. You don't have to be part of a herd. So you're now armed with knowledge about how the human mind and body work. And you get to decide from a grounded place, not a place of triggered emotions running wild and running the show in your life. You're allowed to pause and observe. And most of all, you're allowed to follow what your heart is telling you to do. And on that note, I'm wishing you love and light and leadership, and stay safe and stay well and love each other. All right. Have a great night. Bye-bye.